It's time for Sports Talk on WJER, the sports voice of the Valley. Sports Talk is driven by Ferris. With an inclusive look at local, state, and national sports, here is your WJER sports team.
Welcome to Sports Talk, driven by Ferris this morning on WJER. Bill Hammerstrom, Roger Metzger, your hosts today. We'll get you all your scores from high school basketball yesterday, but let's start with our guest because it is the drum major for the Ohio State University marching band. It's Clayton Callender, the Dover graduate. Clayton, thank you so much for coming and making time on this Saturday morning.
Oh, of course. Thank you guys for having me.
And you are just back from the Rose Bowl where the Ohio State Buckeyes got the big win. They're going to the national semifinals in the first ever 12-team college football playoffs. Can you talk about what the Rose Bowl was like, dominating the number one ranked team, Oregon?
The Rose Bowl was an unbelievable experience. You know, as an Ohio State drum major, there's really two things that you want to check off the list, and that is a home Michigan game where you get to do pregame and in that atmosphere, and a Rose Bowl. So now that I've gotten to do both of those things this year, it's really kind of completed everything that I wanted to do. And it was an unbelievable time out there. You know, we were landing the plane, and it looked like I was joking to my friends that it looked like we were landing on Mars because you don't see any mountains or anything like that out in Ohio. And so the game day was pretty long because we had to do the Rose Parade. And the Rose Parade, for everyone who marches in it, is about 7 miles. Wow. So it was a long parade, but it was unbelievable scenery. I remember we turned a corner at one point and we were just looking straight up at the mountains, and it was breathtaking. And then after that, we got to the game, and the game atmosphere was just crazy. I've never experienced anything like that in my life, and it was just super, super fun to see the Bucks go out there and win.
How much of a roller coaster has it been since the end of November? Because that Michigan loss was very disappointing, and for you, maybe that might have been, your last game as the drum major at the Horseshoe against Michigan, but then you had another game against Tennessee after that at the Horseshoe. How has it been to go from that game to the Tennessee game and ahead to the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, everyone, when we went into that Michigan game, we were all, hoping, because if we win and go on to the Big Ten Championship and win, that would be the last time that we have a home game. All of us, who are leaving this year, will be the last time we have a home game. But then the game didn't go our way, and so we got to have another game. But the Tennessee game atmosphere, a night game, scarlet out, all scarlet uniforms, that was a crazy experience too. And being able to be the drum major for the first home playoff game and first home game in December for the Buckeyes was something that I'll remember forever.
That was a crazy game because just watching it on TV, because you had so many noon games in a row there, to have a night game and then the stands, the way they presented it with the orange and the crimson in the stands, it looked different. Did it feel different?
Oh, it felt way different.
How so?
Well, the night game atmosphere always feels different. Just everything being at night, everyone being more awake than if it's a noon game, and everyone had to kind of get out of bed early. We have to get up at around 3:30 or 4 on a noon game day. So being able to sleep in and watch College Game Day and then get there around 2 o'clock, because I believe it was an 8 o'clock game, that we were all just more awake, more amped up, and it was a crazy atmosphere because everybody who was there also knew it was the first of so many things. So no one took it for granted. Everyone was super, super excited, and we went out there and put on a good show, and the Bucks did too.
Hey, now going back to the Michigan game, obviously, it was what happened with the flag planting and everything. Now, you guys were playing Carmen, Ohio at the time, correct?
We were, yeah.
What did you see? What did you see at that point? What they were doing, and what was happening at that point? Do you remember?
I do remember. Yeah, we were playing Carmen, Ohio, and I was standing there saluting like I always do for Carmen, Ohio, just standing still singing. And the team was in front of us, and then the team kind of all just in a wave turns around and starts running, and we're like, well, that's probably not good. But, I think us as a band really just think about the job that we have to do, and so we weren't very concerned with that. We're not going to go out and do anything. We're just going to finish Carmen, Ohio, do what we're supposed to do. That's what our directors have always taught us to do. So we just finished out Carmen, Ohio, and waited for the chaos to kind of get under control, and then we left the stadium.
You seem to have gotten a lot of TV time this season. I don't know. You don't notice it, but when we watch those games, you're on TV a lot. Do you get a lot of text? Do you get a lot of messages from people back here saying, "Hey, I just saw you on TV"?
Yeah, I do. It's always cool when they show us on TV. And so, yeah, sometimes I do there's a lot of Facebook messages and text messages from some of my old buddies from high school who say they just saw me on TV.
Yeah.
But I never really know that until after the game, obviously, because I'm just out there doing the same thing that I always do. But it is really cool whenever they feature us on TV.
Well,
sure.
I was going to say, now, I watch, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. It's called Skycast. It's on ESPN.
Yeah.
It's on and they show nothing, but they have no announcers. All they do is show the action that's on the field. And that's a great, if you really want to watch the band, that's a great place to watch because you can hear the band, you can see the band, you can see what you're doing, and there are no commentary or anything like that. If people are really interested in seeing you and your band, then that's the place to watch.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. Every time there's a game on ESPN, they usually have the Skycast. It's not the same for all networks, but our last 2 games have been on ESPN,
Correct.
So they had the Skycast.
Well,
going.
I was going to say, the semifinals will be on, and so will the final. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, should be a fun time.
The Ohio State University Marching Band is also a good follow on Facebook. There's a lot of videos of you on there, too.
Yeah. Yeah, they do a good job of showcasing everybody in the band pretty equally. But with me being in a unique position, I do get featured on there quite a bit. But I think our social media team does a really, really good job of showcasing the hard work of everybody. And like all of the sections, all the instruments, the iDotters, everybody who's important to the band, which is everybody who is in the band. So.
Your family has a good social media presence too. Who was out there with you at the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, my mom, my stepdad, and my 2 sisters, my grandma, and my uncle Jeremy, who were all there. A lot of Dover people, which was cool. So it was really cool to have them go out all the way out there and be able to experience it with them. They sat pretty close to the band, and so I got to go up and hang out with them after halftime. And it's always really, really cool that they get to go out and be there with me. So I know. When I'm performing, I really only think about the fact that my mom's watching, because that's been the same for my entire life. Wherever I've been, my mom is always there. She's never missed anything at all. And I can say that confidently, that every time I've ever done anything, whether I was good at it or not, she was always there. So I just always think, I'm like, well, my mom's here. So it's not really just the Rose Bowl. I'm just performing for my mom like I've always done.
Was that like a last-minute trip? I mean, did they plan that after the Tennessee game?
Yeah. I mean, well, with how the season's going now, you can't really plan ahead.
Right.
So we have to see if we win, and then as soon as they get home, they start trying to plan for the next trip.
What were your expectations for that Tennessee game? Because you wouldn't have gone to the Rose Bowl without winning that game in December.
I mean, we always support the football team, and we believe in the football team. So we felt like we had a good shot to win. Obviously, Tennessee was a very good team, and we didn't know exactly how it was going to go. We felt like the atmosphere and everything that we bring to the table to amp up the crowd and everything the football team brings to the table, we felt like we had a good chance.
I was going to say, now, we were talking about your preparation for the Rose Bowl. Can you take us through, Tuesday night's New Year's Eve? What did you guys party? Did you not party? Did you see midnight? Did you not see midnight? How did that work for you?
Well, so we're out in California, so midnight back here was 9.
Correct.
So we all got in a ballroom around 8 and just hung out with each other, had some pizza and some cookies and snacks, and we had a big TV set up to watch the ball drop. And then as soon as 9 o'clock hit, we all went back to our rooms and went to sleep.
Okay, so you celebrated Eastern time. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Because we had to be up.
Exactly. What time did you have to be up on Wednesday morning? What time did you have to get going?
3:45. We had to be on the buses in full uniform, ready to go at 4:45. So you got to get up and get everything ready.
And then you march 7 miles.
Yep.
And then after that, you got to turn around. You got to go to the Rose Bowl.
Yep.
Were you like dragging at the end of the night, or what's the story there?
No, not really, because I think everybody prepares well. I mean, the whole season prepares you. Game days are very long too at home. So it wasn't anything super, super outrageous. I mean, obviously that parade is the longest parade you can do, but I think everyone in the band is in great shape. We practice a lot. We practice hard. So we were prepared for it. I don't think anyone was dragging. There was no lack in any of our performances that day. So I think everyone was in good shape and everyone was ready to go.
I know I'd be dragging.
In the studio, Clayton Callender, the drum major for the Ohio State University. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more to him here on your Sports Voice of the Valley.
Is there anything better than high school sports? Hi, this is Dan Hosteller of Ferris Chevrolet Toyota. High school sports brings out the best of our high schools and our communities, and the people at Ferris have always been behind the importance of athletics and academics. Just like we believe in the great cars and trucks that we sell and service every day. Like high school sports, we are a great tradition in the area. Ferris on the Wabash, New Philadelphia.
Some things in life are meant for each other, like salt and pepper, bacon and mushrooms, or you and the all-new Wendy's Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger. Now, you're probably thinking, wait a minute, does bacon go with mushrooms? And the answer is, they do now. So if you want crispy, crunchy, cheesy, juicy, shroomy, and garlic spready, then you and the Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger are meant to be. For mushroomy, bacony goodness, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's.
One of the best parts of Christmas is the big sales after the holiday, and the best deals in town are at Hillcrest Lawn and Garden Center. Right now, you'll save up to 60% store-wide at Hillcrest on all remaining Christmas items. Get ready for next year with up to 60% off artificial trees, wreaths, garland, ornaments, and more. And if your lights have stopped working on your tree, but you don't want to throw it away, Hillcrest can fix it. Bring in your tree section for a free estimate. Hillcrest Garden Center on State Route 800 in Dover. Open 6 days a week.
We now return to Sports Talk, driven by Ferris, on the sports voice of the Valley, WJER.
Bill Hammerstrom, Roger Metzger on Sports Talk, driven by Ferris. We have Clayton Callender, the drum major for the Ohio State University, and a Dover High School grad. Clayton, a lot of talk about Dover pride this year. Tuscarawas County pride, even with state championships out of Strasburg and Indian Valley in softball and football. And then Hunter Armstrong, the Dover graduate, winning his second gold medal at the Olympics. And there was a special moment before the Michigan game where you and Hunter were in the same building. Can you talk about that? Can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah, so we marched into Skull Session, and I remember I usually go over and hype up the crowd before we march all the way in. We kind of wait in the tunnel and play some drum cadences before we go all the way in, but I always go out and hype up the crowd. And when I went out there, I saw Hunter in his full Team USA outfit, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know he was going to be there that day, so I went over and I gave him a fist bump, and then I went back, finished marching in, and then I went over and we talked for a little bit. He let me wear some of his medals, which was cool. I never thought I'd be wearing Olympic gold medals, so that was a very cool moment. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing what he has done and what he does for the pride of Dover, Ohio, and he's just an inspiration to all of us. And so getting to see him and be in the same building with him, I felt like made Tuscarawas County pretty proud that day. And
I saw the video online, and I think the announcer announced you both, and then said, and that you're both from Dover. So you got Dover on at the Skull Session there. So that must have felt pretty good.
Oh yeah, it always feels good to be announced from Dover. I mean, our announcer announces where we're from every Skull Session we run through, and give everybody high fives, and they announce me and the assistant, all the directors, and they always say from Dover, Ohio, and you hear a big roar. Yeah. It's really cool. I love any chance I get to represent this county, this city that has given me so much. And has been, where I grew up and where my family is from. So I always love being able to represent this town.
Okay, it's on to the Cotton Bowl. Take us through your itinerary. When you leave, when you go, what's the story there?
Yeah, so we're leaving Thursday. I don't know the exact time, but we're going to leave Thursday, get to Dallas, and we're going to have a rehearsal Thursday evening. And then we'll wake up and we'll have game day responsibilities, whatever that may be. Friday until the game starts. We'll do the game Friday, and then we'll come back Saturday morning, I believe.
So this is your second year as the drum major for the Ohio State University Marching Band, and your final year. It seems like every week could be your last.
Oh, yeah.
Did you think about that? How do you feel about coming to the end of your time as the drum major?
It is bittersweet because this is what I've always worked for, and I love doing it, but I think it's time for somebody else to get a chance. I've held this position for as long as you can, as long as your eligibility says you can. So it's time for somebody else to be able to live out their dream like I have and get to experience all the things that I've experienced. So I'm good with it. I've done everything that I ever wanted to do. I've accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish. So I have no real bad feelings about it being the end. I'm excited to move on and see who takes over after me, and I'm sure they're going to be just as great, if not greater, than I was. So,
Do you have a say in, not a say, but I mean, do you help try to, help the next guy along succeed you? Do you help them along, or do you give them any tips, or how does that work?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll always give tips. I mean, the guy before me, who's one of my good friends, Austin Bowman, he gave me, I mean, I would always, especially my first year when I didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah.
I would always ask him questions, every game day. I'm like, okay, so what is this all about? How do you feel when you do this? What exact moment do you have to be here? Like, if somebody asks me a question, I'll always be there to answer because I have the experience and the knowledge now to be able to help people after me. But I don't have any say in who it is next. Yeah. It's former drum majors who judge, but they usually wait a couple years so that you're not judging like your friends. So there's no bias. So I probably won't judge an OSU drum major tryout for 4 or 5 years.
So you'll have a hand, maybe have a hand in that down the road, won't you?
Down the road, yeah, I would think so. They invite former drum majors back a little while after they're done.
Yeah.
But they just want to make sure, everything about the Ohio State Marching Band is unbiased. Everybody tries out again every year. People who have been in it before get cut every year. It's all about who's the best that day, so they don't want any perceived or real biases anywhere. So I won't be judging this year or in a couple years until everyone who I know is out. Then they'll probably ask me to come back.
Hey, we were talking off the air. I mean, you were talking about how militarily regimented the Ohio State Band is, which I did not know. Can you explain to me and explain to our audience what that's all about? I mean, you were talking about how things have got to be the certain way and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, we were started as an ROTC band way back when. Our band is 147 years old. This is the 147th edition of the Ohio State Marching Band. But the main military thing that we still keep is our uniform inspection and how our uniform looks. Our uniform hasn't changed in a very, very long time. It's been the exact same. And we have uniform inspections where you have to have everything, pristine, so that we all look uniform and we're all shaved. And there's other rules that go along with that.
I wouldn't cut it today, correct? With my beard?
You would not, no. I wouldn't either. I haven't shaved in a couple of days. You have to shave that morning. Even if it's a noon game and we have to be there at 6, you got to wake up at like 4 and make sure you shave, or else you're going to fail uniform inspection, and then there are consequences for that. But yeah, and the other main rule is you have to have cover over your head at all times, which I believe is the same for a lot of the military, where if we're outside, we have to have either our beret or our hat on. You can't have no cover on your head. So yeah, we keep a lot of the military traditions that we've had for a very long time. It's a very traditional band.
Yeah.
So you're getting ready for the 15th game of the season for Ohio State. I don't know, if you think about that, would that make you like the longest serving drum major as far as
single
games
season?
go?
Yeah.
Would have to be. I mean,
single season probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were saying to us when we first started that this is cutting into your second semester now.
It is, yeah. We start classes on Monday, and this has never happened where where band goes into the second semester. It's always been done before that. Even the year we won the national championship in 2014, it still ended before that. So we're all kind of trying to figure it out on the fly because it's the first year of the 12-team playoff, and everything's different than it has been in the past. And in the past 2 years that I've been in the band, everything's different. So we're all trying to figure it out.
So once the season ends, what's next for you? What are you studying, and what do you plan to do?
I'm studying economics, and I'm planning on working in commercial banking. My uncle Jeremy, who went to Dover, also is in commercial banking. So I'm probably going to try and follow what he does and do that. So yeah.
You got any special tricks left for the Cotton Bowl or the national championship if you go? Anything you haven't done yet that this is your final chance to do it?
No, not really.
You've done it all?
I've done pretty much everything that I'm capable of doing at this point. So I think I'm good. I'm going to do what I do, and I'm going to go out there and try to put on a good show, make the crowd happy, and we'll see how it goes.
So you're not going to need a chiropractor when you have to lean all the way back and
I will.
Is that right?
Oh, I will, yeah. My back is not in very good shape at this point, but I'm almost done. So
that's Clayton Callender, Dover graduate, Ohio State University drum major. It's been great watching you this season. Been great watching the band. Some of the halftime performances that they've done when they do those time lapse of the formations they make and then rockets going off. I mean, can you talk about the preparation that goes into that and how intricate those performances are?
Oh my gosh! I mean, the drill that the band has to do combined with the playing that they have to do is just unbelievable. I have a very easy job compared to what they do, because they have to learn the drill exact, and everybody has a completely different thing to do. Like, there's some things that kind of line up with other people, but everybody has their own individual dot where they have to be. And so throughout the week, or sometimes throughout 2 weeks, if we have a week in between games, they're working on the drill. They're doing drum throughs where they're not playing and just doing the drill, and then they do a full playthrough where they actually play and march. And to be able to watch that and be a part of it is an unbelievable thing. I don't know how they do it. Combined with academics, there are a lot of very high achieving scholars in the band too, and I don't know how they do it, because they have to memorize music every week. On Friday, you have to have it memorized or you fail music checks. So it's a heavy workload, especially for them. I get to kind of freestyle and do what I want at halftime, so I have a much easier job than they do. And it's crazy to be able to watch them up close.
All right, Clayton Callender getting ready for the Cotton Bowl, taking on Texas. I guess, what do you know about the Texas football team? What do you know about the Texas band? Is there a band competition? Or are you going to look across the field and see who's got the better halftime show?
No, not really. I don't know much about the Texas band. We kind of go into every game and we just focus on what we do. We don't really think about the other band that much. We always meet them. We always go up and say hi and get pictures with them and talk about the differences in the bands. But we don't. It's not really it's not a competition necessarily. We enjoy what each other do, and we kind of watch. But also, whoever goes first, the other one is just thinking through what they have to do. We're not really watching them. So, yeah, I don't know. I know some about the Texas football team. Obviously, their quarterback used to play at Ohio State, and so that's a fun storyline. Yeah. But I think it'll be a good game. They're very, very talented. They won in double overtime, and so they're obviously a very, very good team, very talented team, and I think we'll have our work cut out for us, but I think we have a good chance.
You have to play in Texas, but I imagine, Ohio State travels well.
Oh, yeah.
Ohio State travels really, really well. I mean, being out in Pasadena, California, there was a lot of Buckeye fans. There was a lot of Oregon fans, too, but there was a lot of Buckeye fans, especially for it being, over almost 2,000 miles away.
Yeah. Hey, going back to the Michigan game, didn't you help Archie Griffin dot the I at the was that that game?
That was the
game
Akron
before?
Game. No, that was the Akron game, the first game.
Oh, that was the first game of the season. Okay.
Yep. That was a crazy experience too. Being able to dot the I and lead one of the most famous and obviously 2-time Heisman Trophy winner Archie Griffin out to dot the I is one of the most historic I dots, probably the most historic I dot in our band's history. And so being able to be a part of that was one of the coolest memories that I think I'll ever have.
Yeah.
So that was an honor of a lifetime. Really.
When did you know that was going to go down? I mean, they have this. Do they have those set up in advance, like who's going to dot the I each game, or how does that work?
Yeah. So I mean, and typically people who dot the I are sousaphone players
sure.
in the band. It's once every 8 or 10 years that we have a special I dotter like Archie Griffin. I believe the last one before that was Earl Bruce. So, I mean, Jack Nicklaus also did it.
Yeah.
Annie and John Glenn, I think, did. Very, very famous Ohio State alum are typically. But that only happens once every 10 years or so. So, typically, the I-Dotters are all 4th and 5th year sousaphone players, and they figure that out before the season, who gets to dot which game. They have challenges to figure that out. And, whoever wins the challenge gets to pick the top game, which they always pick Michigan game. Or if it's not a Michigan home game that year, maybe Penn State or whatever the best home game is.
Every time Clayton comes in, I learn so much. Every time he comes in, I'm telling you what, I'm learning all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's Clayton Callender, the drum major for the Ohio State University Marching Band. I would ask you to look back on your 2 years, but they're not done yet. Like your top memory of your time as the drum major, it could still come because you got 2 more games left in Texas, and Ohio State is the betting favorite right now to win the national title.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I have a lot of great memories of things that I've already done. Especially, dotting the I with Archie Griffin, the Michigan ramp, doing ramp at the Michigan game was probably my favorite memory so far. I think it was just, I mean, everybody was in their seats. We have a huge crowd for Ramp every time, but that time there was nobody that wasn't in their seats by then. And it was so much louder than it normally is. And it was just an unbelievable atmosphere. Felt like an out of body experience. And that's one of those things that you always want to check off as a drum major at Ohio State, is doing that home Michigan game, and having that be one of my last games in the shoe was really, really special.
All right, Clayton Callender, he'll be at the Cotton Bowl. That's on January 10th. That's a Friday. So we'll have that game here on WJER, taking on Texas in Texas. You've been to California, you've been to Texas, but looking at I follow the Ohio State Marching Band on Facebook. You guys get around to other places too. I mean, you do some community outreach as well, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, we travel every once in a while with the football team. It depends on the year. My first year last year, we got to go to Notre Dame and Michigan as the away games last year. And this year we didn't get to go to any regular season away games, but we went to Indianapolis at the Colts Stadium, where we performed like an exhibition for the Bands of America Grand Nationals, which is a really, really big high school marching band competition. And that was a lot of fun. Michigan was also there. There were some other college bands that were there. So that was really, really fun. That was kind of a thing where we were trying to give back to the high school bands and give the high school bands who were competing there kind of a break from what they're doing, and be able to watch some high-level college bands and enjoy the show that we put on instead of just thinking about competing. So that was a fun time for us, staying in Indianapolis. And then afterwards, we came back and supported them, until the competition was over. And we were there from about 8 to 11, watching just their unbelievable performances. So, yeah. All
right. One last time, Clayton, you want to hype up the Buckeye fans out there for the Cotton Bowl?
I mean, I don't think there needs to be any hyping up. We all know what a big game this is. We all know that it's win or go home at this point. So I don't think anybody needs me to hype them up. I think everybody is very amped up for this game. Everyone's going to be watching or there, and we're gonna go out there and do our best. And I think we've got a good chance to win. So I would just tune in.
All right, Clayton Callender, the drum major for the Ohio State University, a Dover High School grad. Clayton, thank you so much for coming in. Congratulations on all your success, and good luck to you in the future. Thanks for representing Dover and Tuscarawas County.
Thank you very much. It's always an honor.
All right, Clayton Callender, Bill Hammerstrom, Roger Metzger here on Sports Talk, driven by Ferris. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up all of yesterday's action in sports and talk a little bit more about it here on your sports voice of the Valley.
Is there anything better than high school sports? Hi, this is Pat Ferris of Ferris Chevrolet Toyota. High school sports bring out the best in our schools and in our communities, and the people at Ferris have always believed in the importance of athletics and academics. Just like we believe in the great cars and trucks we sell and service every day, like high school sports, we're a great tradition in this area. Ferris, on the Wabash in New Philadelphia.